Welcome into the Beat Sessions, your place for all things music. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Let's talk about this new record from Black Country New Road, entitled Forever Howlong. They released that on April 4th. This is the third studio album for the British sextet and their follow-up to 2022's Ants From Up There. And in the 3 years between those two projects, you have the 2023 release of Live at Bush Hall, which is complicated to say the very least. The band doesn't really consider it to be a studio project. I feel the same way, which is why I didn't review the album. I try to focus solely on studio projects, but I'd be curious to see what you guys have to say in the comments, because I have spoken with quite a few people in the last couple of years that consider Live at Bush Hall to be a proper studio album. It's comprised of previously unreleased material. It has concept at its core, just to name a few of their angles. And I'm always happy to entertain it. I definitely see where they're coming from. But drummer Charlie Wayne talks about how that project was about showcasing a live performance that evinced the joy that these guys still have making music, that evinced the fact that despite the hardships that they went through after the release of Ants From Up There, that they were still here to create music and to create unique music on their own terms. I admire the hell out of what they did with that live album in general. Picking up the pieces and attempting to forge a new identity, forge a new path forward, and doing it in the most vulnerable and risky way that they possibly could by shelving all of their old material, starting from scratch, and scheduling live performances in front of adoring fans without really knowing how these new songs would be received. I think I speak for most people when there was very little doubt in any of our minds that this outfit would still deliver. You know, any new material that they would create would still be very enjoyable. But there's no denying that after the departure of Isaac Wood, that this band has taken a very unique and different turn with their sound. And who's to say that they wouldn't have done it with or without Isaac? I think that Black Country New Road might be the most prescient name a band has ever given itself. If you're not familiar with the outfit, Isaac, citing mental health, left the band 4 days before the release of Ants From Up There. I know you'll probably never see this, but wherever you are out there, man, I hope you're finding peace. I hope life is good to you, because the lyrics that you wrote and the music that you helped write with this outfit, I think I speak for everyone when I say there's so much about it that hits home. There's so much about it that resonates with me. And it's kind of irritating to read feedback from people on the internet about statements like the one I just made. And it's like, well, you don't know the guy. Like, you've never met him. Why do you care? I care about him the same way that I care about any artist that has created something that's had an impact on my perspective, on my feelings, my principles, my philosophies, the way that I look at the world. I would argue it's one of the biggest reasons that we enjoy art, and me in particular, why I enjoy music so much. I think a guy like Isaac, especially with this band's early work For the First Time and with Ants From Up There, kind of drifting more into that pop territory, but at the core foundation of their sound, you get post-punk and folk. Both genres that I would say focus on dark, brooding storytelling most of the time. And Isaac is one of those guys that wrote with great profundity, with great emotional intensity. His cleverness, his insight into the world around him, and the way that he visualized that. I mean, just a song like The Place Where He Inserted the Blade. I mean, the image that conjures up, just to name one example, is so vivid and so raw and so gut-wrenching. And it's what I loved about him, man. I also think from a vocal standpoint, the dexterity with which he sang, with which he plays with words, the back and forth, often doing, kind of a spoken word thing sometimes. I wouldn't call it fully recitative, but he really is a one-of-a-kind writer. He cites Father John Misty as being a massive influence, says that, he's not the greatest songwriter out there, but he's just damn honest. And I couldn't agree more. And I feel the same way about Isaac, is that he's just brutally honest about the world, which is something that I appreciate. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think about that as well, as far as, do you or do you not care? Because I personally, I care. And again, man, I hope you're doing well. But live at Bush Hall, showcasing what lied in store for this new studio project, Forever How Long. And I think that even if Isaac had been with the band still, that they could have very easily taken this new direction. I feel at the core foundation of what is going on in this new album, you get Baroque pop. There's still elements of post-punk, definitely a big folk drive on this record. I'd say the folk element outweighs the post-punk much more on this project than it does on the previous two. But the art rock influence as well. How can you not think of an outfit like Jethro Tull and the influence that they've had on modern rock and roll music? When you hear the flute, it's like the first place that my brain usually goes to. I love Ian Anderson, but just all the different instruments that they're playing with on this record. Mandolin, you get a recorder, you got the clarinet and the flute, and the alt saxophone played by Lewis Evans, who, it was unique to see him take up vocal duties for a little bit on Live at Bush Hall, but ultimately deciding that the ladies should just, have that role and do their thing. And I do think it is a great move on the part of the band. But, the harpsichord, the accordion, the banjo, you look at all these instruments that I just mentioned, and they're not really featured on For the First Time. You're starting to get a little more of that with Ants from Up There, but it's great to see their creativity grow and to see them incorporate such a diverse array of instrumentation into their sound. I want to give a nod to Charlie Wayne, because these songs, they're definitely much more playful than most of the tracks on Ants from Up There. That was an interesting project in the fact that it felt like the band was taking a turn more towards conventional structure in their compositions. These songs taking full advantage of rubato, just the change in pace, the change in tempo, the shifting in instrumentation, the shifting in mood. There's definitely moments on a lot of these compositions where I feel the band doesn't give the song an opportunity to really let what they're doing sonically flesh out and really, find its roots, to really like sink in. So that maybe is my one criticism of the record. Not saying that these songs are bad, but there's just moments where they could have maybe been more. And maybe those moments are showcased in their live performances as we move into the future. But given the wild nature of so many of these songs, Charlie Wayne is absolutely crushing it. What he's doing on the Skins from start to finish on this record is truly admirable. It might be one of the best, if not maybe the best drum record of 2025. Really just blown away by his work on the kit. And then talking about the ladies taking over, Tyler, Georgia, and May, just doing a marvelous job from a lyrical standpoint, really showcasing great storytelling, finding brighter moods. Definitely, it's a big change going from Isaac Wood's, brooding baritone to the light, airy, just sheer beauty of all three of their voices. And I love the way that, they all kind of sound similar. And I think that's just so exceptional. The more I've listened to it, the more I can hear the different nuances in their voices. But that first go around on this record, I had to get on and see who was singing, who took on the lyrical responsibilities. And I think that is really impressive. And in a way, kind of important. I think it gives the feeling of the record continuity while also giving it the perspective of three different individuals, which is a fun element of this record as well. And I just got to say that so many of the melodies that these ladies are delivering on this project just really remind me a lot of Joni Mitchell. And I think having more of that folk drive throughout the record as well is a big part of why that works and why I love this new project so much. It's pretty much all I got to say about this after, before we get into the track list, but I'd say, this to sum it up, very Beatlesque. I hear a band like Dave Matthews a ton in this project. I know Arcade Fire has been a massive influence for these guys throughout the years. Fiona Apple, Sufjan Stevens. But it really is a fun, lighthearted project. And it's great to see this outfit find themselves in just a good creative space after, basically having to tread through the darkness and find that new road to go down with this project. Your opening song, Besties, has got this Baroque style harpsichord. Just right off the bat, I love that they get right into it. Super playful. It's going to transition, into this soaring, light pop rock style track. The first verse is going to shift to a minimal vocal and acoustic guitar. I really like the moments where they do that, where a track is building and it's basically just the vocal and maybe, some simple instrumentation, whether it's guitar, whether it's the flute or the sax, whatever it might be. Woodwind and harpsichord are going to work back in on this track. It's just got this fun, jaunty feel. It's a great groove. Chorus soars, and the track reverts to this mellow feel back in the second verse. Guitar is going to take more of a lead as this song progresses, and it just finishes with a big instrumental coda, but a track that is pretty tight, and I think that that's another feature of this record. There's, given the kind of more conventional song structure of Ants from Up There, there's also a lot of massive tracks, and the majority of these songs, I'm looking at the times, they're running right around 4 minutes and 30 seconds. These opening tracks, Besties, and then your second one, The Big Spin, are 3:36 and 2:31 respectively. So it's The Big Spin is interesting to see them do so much in such a tight span of time, and maybe is one of those songs, as I mentioned too, that they could have fleshed out for another 30 seconds, another minute, maybe let some of that great instrumentation that they developed just find more of a hold. But The Big Spin has got this up-tempo intro, driving percussion, and sharp solo. The verse is going to dip into that mellow acoustic and piano-driven territory. So again, you get that shift. I feel like a lot of big opens, and then that shift into what is essentially the build into the song structure. Hard-hitting instrumentation flirts with gentleness on this track. It's one of my favorite aspects of it. Great movement in the instruments, though. The saxophone is stellar on this. It finishes gently after working with many moments of restraint. It feels like this thing is just going to explode so many times in that quick runtime. But I dig the way that it never hits that spot. And I think that there's a difference between fleshing a track out and letting it explode, which I like the restraint again on this particular song. Socks is your third track. Vocal and piano open, big cinematic musical quality to this particular song. The saxophone is going to dominate the entrance of the music as that builds in. The intensity that builds there as well is exceptional, but then the song is going to mellow out. It's playful and engaging piano, driven, and everything else from an instrumentation standpoint just seems to kind of like float around. So I really love the movement on that. And then about 2 minutes and 45 seconds in, they just get after it. You get more of that rock and roll just drive in this song. It sounds great. Rocking out. It's going to enter this unique middle eight at about 4:20, and then it slowly builds back to its finish. Big pop influence, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, but jazz is another one that jazz has always been something that I feel a lot of post-punk bands incorporate into their sound, and I love that this outfit does the same. And this track in particular really highlights the jazz influence, I think, more than most. Salem Sisters is your fourth track. You get this pop-driven piano that has great classic feel. Saxophone and mandolin are great as well together. Just get this gentle, jaunty feel as this song works, and really, I love the funky groove that it's able to find, and that's just courtesy of Charlie doing his thing. I feel like there's so many moments where it's stop and go and stop and go. And I can't imagine how difficult it was for him to put together, some of these songs, his component. But again, a marvelous job from him. And I think that this is a song that showcases that as well. Two Horses is your fifth track. Gentle harpsichord and harmonies open. Lead vocal and acoustic guitar is going to take over. Love the whistling and the mandolin together on this track. A bit of saxophone works in beautifully as well. It's going to hit, really hard at around 3 minutes. Bass driven turn. And I love the percussion again, very cymbal dominated. Get this rapid arpeggiated guitar that's going to build in, and as this song continues to build, it just goes harder and harder, and at about 4 minutes and 40 seconds, it's going to mellow to finish. Your sixth song, Mary, is it's got this saturnine acoustic guitar, just really kind of just such an impressive mood right out the gate, and a bit of slide that they're working in. So I love that kind of country influence that's dominating the opening of this song. Love the vocal harmonies that are at play here. Bit of banjo that's going to work in, and the harmonies. I would say, I know I mentioned them just now, but the key feature of this track, and they really are going to drive its movement and development toward the finish. Flute is going to go to work really nicely in the coda as well. Enjoyed that moment in the song. Happy Birthday is your seventh track. Guitars, mandolin, and piano all go to work behind a bright vocal, which, I mean, I really feel like Tyler, more than anybody, sounds like Joni Mitchell a lot on this particular song. But the rhythm's going to work in nicely at about 50 seconds in to usher in this rock and roll feel. Backs off shortly after, but then, you get this back and forth, so it's going to continue to build back. All sorts of just crashes in this song as far as its movement, crescendos, I might say. But it's going to really, at about 2:30, hit that final crash. The vocal is stunning to open. It's going to build back into the coda and rocks out brilliantly to finish a song that takes a gentle turn as well in the back end. For the Cold Country is your eighth track. Opens with this gorgeous harmonies. The flutes are going to enter, then your guitar. Sounds just angelic. I really like the way that it remains minimal as well. Get this almost kind of, Baroque. It feels even a little more like a Renaissance feel to it. I love that influence on this record. Acoustic guitar is going to start to pick up at about 2 minutes, and then it recedes to the woodwinds. It's just a great slow build, big stomping drums driving the song. They're going to hit for a bit and then settle into kind of just like a standard rock and roll groove. Big jazz flair. Love the turn at about 4 minutes and 30 seconds on the song, and just another brilliant slow build into a frenzy to finish. Your ninth track, Nancy Tries to Take the Night, is got these dueling guitars to open. Somber mood that this song sets. Tempos are going to pick up a bit of banjo that works in. Really love the Baroque element that's at play on this song as well. It plays between rapid and jaunty sequences as it progresses. Great saxophone that enters, and the entrance from the drums is spectacular from Charlie on this song. He finds a real nice groove, helps the band develop that, and then it's going to shift to this down-tempo mood to finish as well. Forever Howling is your 10th song, your title track. Vocal and recorder opens this gentle track, goes quiet for a moment, and then you get the re-entrance of the vocal and the recorder element to usher in the build. Twinkly piano elements. It's going to find its feet at about 3 minutes, but this is a track that really, it succeeds in being minimal. I really love that about the penultimate track, given the pretty wild nature of a lot of these compositions. And then Goodbye Don't Tell Me is your final song. Acoustic rhythm, somber vocal. I love the electric guitar that's working on this track. Bit of country at work as well. Soft bass, piano, and saxophone play great off of one another. Drums are going to hit at about 120, working in nicely once again. And this song is going to work to a big flourish with all the elements drifting out with the vocal. This is an exceptional project. I'm really happy to see this outfit finally put this project out. I'm glad that they took the time, that they didn't rush it. I feel that it was really important to come together, the six of them, and to really make the most of that time, of that process. And I think that they're absolutely crushing it. This could easily be one of the best records of the year. Curious to see what your guys' thoughts are on that. If you enjoyed this project, if you missed the old sound that Isaac helped deliver. I know that I love those two records For the First Time and Answer 'Em Up There, but hearing the sound of this band, what the future holds for them is just as exciting as well. And it's great that you have, two different sides of this outfit that, we can move forward with them, but we can always look to the past and enjoy what they provided us there. I'm going to give this thing an 8.4 out of 10. really excited to pick up the wax. Didn't have time to run to the record store over the weekend, was really busy. But I do appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you find this review helpful, and I hope you enjoyed this record. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, do all the things to help me blow this project up in 2025. And stay tuned throughout the week for more album reviews. We'll see you next time on the Beat Sessions.